Hello, you're very welcome to Tubberwurra. Recently I heard a lot of talk about a book with an unusual title, The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse. Well, I heard a lot of people talking about it, but I've not been moved to read it. But back in my student days, there was a very popular book called The Velveteen Rabbit, and it was often quoted. And I remember one character called Mole, who in one incident was working hard deep in his burrow to do a bit of spring cleaning of his home. So he got out the mops and the buckets and the brushes and the whitewash, and he got stuck into the rooms of his little house. He was working flat out energetically, and his arms were beginning to ache and his back was beginning to hurt, and he pushed himself so hard that at one point he just dropped down the paintbrush and he thought, oh, to heck with this is too much. And he fought his way through his tunnels and out into a brilliant sunshine day and a gorgeous green meadow. And he was so delighted to be out of the spring cleaning exercise. And he rolled around in the grass and he absorbed the heat of the sun, and he just let his aching limbs relax, and he felt so much more alive and so much better. This week we start Ash Wednesday, and there will be no distribution of ashes in the middle of this further extended lockdown due to COVID-19. I wonder how you're feeling about that right now. I wonder if you're dreading the season of Lent and a bit faint-hearted about prayer, fasting and almsgiving in the middle of Lent. Maybe you feel like the mole I mentioned and just want to escape from your home and your boring routine and feel no enthusiasm for doing penance during such confinement and restriction. I too certainly have mixed feelings this year about going down the traditional route of trying to work out what I'm going to do for Lent. So I've had to think long and hard about the meaning of Lent in Christian life, and I'd like to share some of my reflections with you. So just for the moment, let's not think about doing without chocolate or alcohol or food and other indulgences. Let us not look over the other competitive Lents that we have endured, but let's go in another direction altogether in this year of repeated COVID-19 lockdowns. I don't know about you, but I managed the first lockdown pretty well. I thought of it as a God-given chance for me to slow down and spend more time in prayer and reflection. And I, for the most part, I'd have to say, found myself very blessed and fortunate to have the time and the leisure to ponder the scriptures and to come apart and be with the Lord as the scriptures themselves invite us to do. And I enjoyed the time with the Lord, with myself and with my brothers in this community. But this latest lockdown has been a greater hurdle and much more of a challenge. And I've been a great deal more negative and disgruntled. And really, as I say, I've had to struggle and stay still and deal with my unease and restlessness. I would have to say it's been a time of disorder. But of course, there are hidden blessings to be found here too, because there is a thing called divine disorder. For there are times when we need to experience upheaval, dissatisfaction and dislocation, when we need to be stretched and challenged and grow. Sometimes growing discontent, increased restlessness is not necessarily all bad. Sometimes there is stuff in our lives that we need to face and endure if we're ever to find peace. The enforced lockdown of COVID-19 is a very Lent-like invitation for at least some of us to catch up with our real selves and our illusions about the faith and false images about God, and maybe false images about Lent and the whole Lenten journey. A famous anthropologist and commentator, Joseph Campbell, has this little word of wisdom for us. We must be willing to get rid of the life we've planned to be able to have the life that is waiting for us. The old skin has to be shed before the new one can come. Marvelous words. Well, the scripture puts it another way. In the book of Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. So let's go in that direction. We each need to reflect during this 2021 Lenten journey on our different experience of COVID-19 lockdown and the toll that it has taken on our lives. We need to name the dissatisfaction, the disorder, to help us to be open to the divine disorder, the invitation that the Lord is giving us this Lent. Typically, in other years, Ash Wednesday, we would receive the ashes and they would remind us of our mortality and the fact that one day we are going to die. I'm not sure that we need that reminder this year, after all the suffering and death of people around us and all the people that we see who are bereaved. I don't know about you, but when we are tired and fed up with ourselves, we need to ask why that is so and to examine our attitudes and presuppositions. Maybe I'm bored because I'm boring myself and because I'm living a boring, predictable life that needs to change. And like the mole in the story, I need sunlight and fresh air in my heart and mind for my spirit to take wings. Maybe I need to discover the Lord's tender mercy and love for me just as I am, warts and all. Maybe I'm not being asked to do some kind of divine or spiritual Olympics. What can I do for Lent that expresses the best of me, that helps me best express God's desire to see me flourish and blossom as a human being and as a brother and sister of Jesus and to those in need around me? Well, I don't know about you, but I feel energy around that approach. I hope you do too. May I suggest that in this time of lockdown, we allow Jesus to show us his tenderness, his happiness, and his tranquility, and spend more time in prayer, reading the scriptures, stopping the endless negative self-criticism in our heads, and smell the roses, watch nature programs like Spring Watch on TV, take a mindfulness minute or two more regularly. Ease off on the sarcasm and the moodiness we inflict on others. Maybe by battling with my negativity, by developing a sense of gratitude for every good thing, like my health, my vision, my mobility, my sight, my speech, my capacity for compassion. Let us strive to practice tolerance for family members. Let us try to learn to forgive and stop being so darn cranky and moody. Maybe I can ask the Lord during Lent to sustain me rather than to reach out for another glass of wine or another can of beer or another bar of chocolate. Maybe I can fast from surfing the web and fast from social media, some of the time at least, and to be patient with others and to address my disorder, to discover more lasting peace in the Lord and less dis-ease. Let us learn how to let the Lord support us moment by moment. We hope here in Tobawara you will travel with us on our Lenten journey as the different members of our Passionist community and our lay team share their reflections and their faith in the Lord of life. We want to help you and ourselves, to support you and ourselves, to make this a pilgrimage through COVID-19. Join us, please, in our intercession on Ash Wednesday for NHS staff and frontline workers, for COVID-19 sufferers and the deceased victims of COVID-19, and to pray also for the comfort of bereaved families and friends. We look forward to your company. May God bless you.